Carl Gustav Jung, born in 1875. With Freud, one of the founding fathers of modern psychology. Still working at 84, he is the most honored living psychiatrist, and history will record him as one of the greatest physicians of all time.
Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, had an understanding. This understanding insisted that nothing is complete until there is a fourth piece to it. No trinity or triad is completed until it is a quartet. There are 4 winds, 4 seasons, 4 directions, 4 ancient ages, and the 4 medieval humors and temperaments, to name a few. Jung believed that things in sets of 3 are imperfect and unbalanced, and states that whenever you see a trinity or a triad, always look for the 4th to complete it. So, why am I bringing up Carl Jung? What is the relevance to Black Clover? Well, once I explain how integral the philosophy of Jung is to a particular character's line of thought, you'd be convinced that Jung is a massive inspiration for Tabata, especially with regards to the Dark Triad. But before we continue, I'd like to give a huge thank you and shout out to my good friend Tempest who helped me in scripting this and multiple other videos. Please make sure you go and check his channel out. Link is in the description. And to my fellow YouTubers who are in the market for a good editor, this video was edited by my good friend Immorality, and you can find him on Twitter as well, and I will give you his link in the description below. If you guys are interested in what you've heard so far, make sure to drop a like, as this does really help the channel reach out to more people. If you want more Black Clover contents like this, make sure to subscribe with notifications on to never miss out on another video. With all of that said, let's get right into it. Like I said before, Carl Jung is the father of analytical psychology. He is seemingly a massive inspiration for Tabata when it comes to a particular character's line of thought, Dante's Zogratis. The shadow is a concept established by Jung which represents the capacity of a person to be evil, regardless of whether or not they are conscious of it. In Jung's psychological theories, the shadow, also known as the id, shadow aspect, or shadow archetype, is an unconscious aspect of the personality that the conscious ego does not identify in itself. In short, the shadow is the unknown side of a person. The Jungian shadow can include everything outside the light of consciousness and may be positive or negative, but because one tends to reject or remain ignorant of the least desirable aspects of one's personality, the shadow is largely assumed to be the negative portions of a human mind. Obviously, this reminds us of Dante's worldview. The true nature, the shadow of humans, is to be evil. In his very first introduction, he reveals to us that according to his philosophy, the truth is that humans are the very embodiment of evil, and the concept of fear, hatred, rage were all created by humans to be exacted against humans. Other than this, the biggest piece of evidence to point towards the quaternity and Jung's connection to Black Clover would be the symbol that appears on Dante's chest. This is widely understood to be the symbol for gravity, but if you can open your mind a little bit, the symbol that appears on Dante's chest when he goes into his devil form would be the symbol of the quaternity. This symbol that appears on Dante's chest when he powers up is the exact same symbol that Jung preferred. So, we could go deeper into this and analyze Dante even further, but the point I wanted to make is that it is quite clear that Tabata has taken inspiration from Jung for a member of the Dark Triad. So, like I stated previously, it is only fair to assume that in his research into Jung, Tabata also came across a theory of the quaternity, which states that nothing is complete until there is a 4th piece of it. Like I said before, no trinity or triad is complete until it is a quartet. So, what does the quartet really mean? Chapter 2, the Quaternity. So, let's talk about what the quaternity actually is. According to Jung, the squaring of the circle, which is a symbol on Dante's chest, is one of the many archetypal motifs which forms the basic patterns of our dreams and fantasies. But Dante's symbol is distinguished by the fact that this particular symbol is one of the most important of them from a functional point of view. It could even be called the archetype of wholeness. We find a wide spectrum of fourfold symbols and systems in religion, myth, history, and culture. As stated previously, there are 4 winds: Zephyrus, Boreas, Notos, and Yoros. There are 4 seasons, 4 directions, ancient ages, medieval humors and temperaments, and so on and so forth. Jung believed that things in sets of 3 are imperfect and unbalanced. He states that whenever you see a trinity or a triad, always look for the 4th to complete it. The biggest event in recent Catholic memory was when the Holy Trinity of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit was turned into a quaternity. Jung was an avid supporter when this change occurred in the 1950s by the Catholic Church with the introduction of the Virgin Mary to complete and make the previous trinity a whole. To learn more about this, Google the Assumption of Mary. So, the quaternity is unrecognized globally, but Jung really did believe that Mary was part of the Holy Trinity. Jung states that the quaternity is the most wholesome and neutral state, which can even take chaotic parts, or in the case of Black Clover, people, and combine them into an orderly unit. To this, you, the viewer, might say, well, Dante and Vanica have been insane and chaotic since they were kids. So what if the other sibling's some super nice guy? How can he control them regardless? But the truth is, if the 4th sibling existed, and regardless of if the 4th sibling were evil or not evil anymore, without this sibling, the triad are much crazier. To add a bit of small reasoning here, the triad managed to rise up to fame in a just society like the Spade Kingdom of old, and even though they were obviously so chaotic and evil, they were still successful. So clearly, there was at least a little bit of order to them at that point. The 4 temperaments and humors. The 4 temperament theory is a proto-psychological theory which suggests that there are 4 fundamental personality types: sanguine, choleric, melancholic, and phlegmatic. Going back to the Zogratis siblings, from their portrayal in the story so far, they correspond almost perfectly with the 4 temperaments, personality types, and humors. First, let's talk about the choleric temperament. Choleric individuals tend to be more extroverted. They are described as independent and ambitious. These, combined with their dominant, result-oriented outlook, make them look like natural leaders. In Greek, medieval, and Renaissance thought, they were also violent, vengeful, and short-tempered. So, combine this with a good bit of Jungian philosophy, and we get the man who wields the power of the demon king, Dante Zogratis. Next, the sanguine temperament. People who have this personality type are described primarily as being highly talkative, enthusiastic, active, and social. Sanguines tend to be more extroverted as well. Individuals with this personality have a hard time doing nothing and engage in even more risk-seeking behavior. From all that we've seen with Vanica, how she was extremely excited to fight the Heart Kingdom and kill Laurel Pechka, but then she decides to take the more risky route of kidnapping her to make Noel stronger. This perfectly describes our second Zogratis sibling, Vanica Zogratis. Also, as a bonus, the sanguine personality type is tied to the humor of blood, which is extremely fitting given the fact that Vanica's magic is blood magic. Now, to end off our triad is the melancholic temperament. Melancholic individuals tend to be analytical and detail-oriented. They are introverted and try to avoid being singled out in a crowd. A melancholic personality leads to self-reliant individuals who are reserved. They often strive for perfection within themselves and their surroundings. All Zenon wanted to do was go in, surgically get rid of all others that were unimportant, get William, and just leave. He went back to Dante, took Yami and Dante, realized it was unnecessary to fight the others, and left. Once he reconnected with Morris, the first question after assuring that Dante was okay was to ensure that none of the preparations for their plan was compromised. In all these ways, Zenon definitely fits this temperament. So, that ends off our triad, and that's 3 out of 4 temperaments that are perfectly in sync with the triad. But I know you're wondering, what about the 4th one? If there is a 4th sibling, how would they fit into this mold? Now, obviously, we have not seen this 4th sibling, but if we were to try to analyze where they'd fit in with the quaternity, the 4th temperament and humor, the phlegmatic, would be the answer. Phlegmatic individuals happen to be the most mature compared to all other individuals compared to all the other temperaments. If you're interested in the hierarchy of their maturity, we have the sanguine being the least mature, the choleric temperament is the second least mature, followed by the melancholic, which happens to be the second most mature. Obviously fitting together with our characters, where if the 4th sibling existed, they'd be the most mature, followed by Zenon, Dante, and finally with Vanica being the least mature. Now back to the topic at hand. Phlegmatic individuals tend to be more relaxed, peaceful, quiet, and easygoing. They are sympathetic and care about others, yet the phlegmatic individuals are also good at making compromises. The phlegmatics have no fear of rejection and can handle unaffectionate and hostile people. They are calm, easygoing people who are not plagued with the emotional outbursts, exaggerated feelings, anger, bitterness, or unforgiveness as are the other temperaments. Now, if this doesn't seem like the perfect temperament to handle the temperaments of the triad, I don't know what is. So the lingering and biggest question is, what happened to the 4th sibling? Where are they? Well, maybe this can guide us into the right path of thought. The main weakness of the phlegmatic individual is the unwillingness to become involved and tendency to be an observer rather than a participant, which also explains why he or she wouldn't actively stop the triad even if they were able to. I mean, Vanica was using children as hostages, and Dante used to kill dogs for fun, and there has been no retaliation from the fourth sibling. So unless they're absolutely evil or dead or non-existent, it could very well just be that they are too emotionally attached to their siblings but can't do anything about their behavior because of their love for their siblings. But that, my dear viewer, is all I have for you today. So what do you think? Do you think that there's a possibility of a fourth Zogratis sibling existing? Do you think that these psychological dogmas could hint at their personality or perhaps their relationship with the siblings or the triad? Let me know in the comments down below, and definitely like and subscribe for more videos like this. Also, once again, thank you to Tempest for helping me write the script and to Immorality for helping me edit this video. I'll see you all in my next video. Goodbye.